goes with this one here? Wake Forest and Oregon State. Opening line look ahead about 6.5. That line has dropped, Joe, to 2.5 across the board and a total of 51.5. I didn't even know Oregon State still had a football team, but apparently that spread is off here. What is the spread line in this game for the Demon Deeks?
Well, we're going to do that, but I also got to know what the Philly stance is on Penn State, but that's a different conversation here.
Wow.
Let me just say this here, and, this is one of those games where, Donnie, go, Wake Forest, Oregon State, right? But you just mentioned it. The opening line compared to where we are, and we're 2 days into the week, should tell you everything you need to know about what's happening with these two programs. They are heading in opposite directions. Now, Oregon State is awful. They have not won a game yet this year. Wake Forest, however, new coach, new era, and yes, they are a legit team in the ACC. Terrible spot for Oregon State. Why? Well, they just had to travel across the country to play in Boone to take on App State, in which they lost, only to hop on a plane, have to come back home, and now take on Wake Forest, whose new coach, by the way, Coach Dickert, very familiar with Oregon State. And why? Well, he was the Wazoo coach over the last few seasons and had no problem beating Oregon State there. He'll have no problem beating Oregon State here either.
Oregon State left that like that. Like nobody wanted us here. Everybody left the Pac-12 and left us with the bag. And you're seeing the fruits of their non-labor right now, getting hammered week in and week out. How about Kent State? Last week, Joe, we talked about a team total of 3.5, which didn't get home because why? Kent State didn't score a single point against Oklahoma. This week, UMass comes to town, and Kent State is a favorite between 2.5 to 3, depending on where you're shopping, in a total of 49.5. UMass, Kent State. What's the spread line here, Joe?
I hope the guys in the back have the Cam Ward drop ready to go, because I'm not yet. That's it. Yeah, but this game is about as possible. This game has got cheeks written all over it, Donnie, but it needs to be talked about because of what you just said, right? We were betting Kent State all day last week going, you got to score at least a field goal. No, they didn't. But you may be the only team worse in this country right now is UMass. So how bad is UMass? Well, they're an underdog to a Kent State team that hasn't beaten an FBS team since November of 2022. They have not even been favored over anybody since the 2022 season. Absolutely, unbelievably bad. If you want to set football back 100 years, watch this game, UMass at Kent State. This is how this total is 49.5 is hilarious to me, Donnie, because the first one to score is going to win this game. That is how bad it is. But it absolutely is worth mentioning because Kent State is in rare territory here as a favorite over anybody.
It's like a Super Bowl between these two teams coming up. I'm betting a lot of small-time college football over the years. UMass won a national championship in the 1990s in Division I AA, but since they've been in the Division I team, it's been a rough go, man. And they're usually a fun bet because they usually give up a ton of points or have the chance to score a lot of points back when Mark Whipple was coaching them. One to keep an eye on, no doubt about it. How about the Red River Rivalry, which is Oklahoma and Texas? Always played at a neutral site at the Cotton Bowl. Texas, fresh off of a loss to Florida. They're a favorite in this game, though. -2.5 and another low total of 42.5. You would have told me Oklahoma, Texas is 42.5 as a total entering in the season. I thought you would have been crazy, but we're not, Joe. What's the spread line here?
Well, the spread line here is this is all about, and this line will move based upon the information we get on John Mateer's status and availability for OU. Brent Venable says that he doesn't think he'll have the quarterback ready to go as Heisman hopeful QB, but, in this rivalry in Venables, he might pull the rug out from under all of us, Donnie, and announce a couple hours before, hey, he is good to go. So make sure he had the thumb surgery, by the way, on the throwing hand. And so back-to-back buys, they should, they had a bye because they played Kent State. So that's what I mean by back-to-back buys. But make sure you know the status of John Mateer here. If you think he's going to play, even a hint of him playing, and keep it here because as soon as we have the information, we'll pass it along. this line will move, Donnie. I can assure you of that. So be sure you know who's under center for OU before you bet this game.
The Week 7 AP Top 25 poll is out. It's freshly minted here. And that number one team, it's no surprise, Joe Ranieri, it is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Number one, the Hurricanes retake number two, followed by Oregon, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Some of the usual suspects up there, OSU, Oregon, Miami, trying to say we're back here in college football. Ole Miss, a great story with Mr. Kiffin doing damage. And there's Texas A&M hovering around there with Mr. Reed, a quarterback who's absolutely fantastic. I love the look of the top five right now. How about that?
I do. And listen, it's given the games that we're going to have coming up, this is going to, they're going to be jockeying for position when it's all said and done. The great thing, and we talked about it last week about Miami, is I think that with that win, that was the third top 25 team that they have beaten when they played them here. I think that win, barring anything crazy, kind of already punched their ticket into a postseason situation this year. So kudos to Miami getting it done early and often. But I'm going to be real interested to see, will that top five still be the top five when we're doing this next week, Donnie? Because there are some monster games for these teams coming up.
It's great. It's so much fun. Love college football, and you're going to see a lot of big-time games this weekend again, which may be the biggest of all. Indiana and Oregon. Altson Stadium out there in Eugene. That's going to be center stage here. The look-ahead line, Joe, FanDuel at least, was -10.5 for Oregon. That's no longer the case. -7.5, and some outlets even at -7 now as a favorite towards Oregon. This line has jumped up. That look-ahead price point of 51.5 as a total. I'm now seeing 55.5 across the board. This is going to be entertaining, exciting, and one of the best home field advantages in football could come into play, Joe. Indiana heads out to the Pacific Northwest to take on Oregon. What's your early look in this one?
Yeah, I think this is the game of the weekend because I think this means a lot to how this college football playoff landscape is going to shape up. Don't forget, it's not like Indiana wasn't there last year, right? Although that cupcake schedule, once they eventually played Ohio State at the end of the regular season, that wasn't great. And then, of course, Notre Dame kind of stuck, stepped on him, and that was it. But what else can Cignetti do? I mean, he's got his team ready to go. But again, at this point in the season, this is a different level that his team is about to face. Much like he didn't get to that level until he had to face Ohio State at the end of the year, Donnie, and then we saw what it was. He's going to see it now early in the season. We're going to have a really good idea of this Indiana team with their quarterback Mendoza. Should we be taking them seriously here, or is Oregon a cut above, just going to expose them like Notre Dame and Ohio State did?
I got to tell you, got two head coaches aren't ashamed to stir it up in the media and tell you like it is. That's going to be a fun one because if one of these guys has a chance to rub in an extra touchdown, they will take advantage of it, and they will tell you all about it, of why they were slated during that week as well. A fantastic game on the slate here. Let's keep it there with the Big Ten, Ohio State and Illinois. Ohio State, not at home in the shoe. They're going to head to Champaign. 50.5 is the total, a 2-touchdown plus favorite for Ohio State as they go on the road to take on the Fighting Illini.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one too here. I mean, Illinois at home, but again, I'm not a big believer in Illinois at all. I think Ohio State's defense is going to be the difference in this game. I do not believe that Illinois' defense is going to be able to limit what Ohio State and Julian Sain are going to want to do. I think defensively, though, and we've seen what happened. We saw what Indiana did to Illinois' offense, right, with pressure and a quality defense. Wait until Ohio State shows up there. I think we're going to get a kind of a repeat. Maybe not as big a blowout as Indiana was, but they are going to struggle to score the ball.
It's Julian Sain. I don't think he's going to struggle against that defense. We'll see how it plays out here. Alabama and Missouri SEC battle. Look ahead line, Alabama -6.5, dropped to 3 at just about every outlet, and a total between 52.5 and 51.5. The Crimson Tide on the road to take on the Tigers.
I want to see if this hits the key number 3. I mean, it's been all Mizzou money.
It's out there somewhere
early on here. all. So are we being head faked here, Donnie? Is all the Alabama money, which we all know Alabama money is coming in as this week gets a little bit closer. But will it get to 3
Absolutely.
before that all starts come pouring in and we're back to 5 before we know it?
The sharps. Where's the scalping going to come in? Where's the buyback on Alabama at this point? We'll see how that cracks up. And we're going to continue to talk more college football next. SEC, Joe, it just means more. We're going to head to the plains of Auburn. That's the Auburn Tigers. They're going to take on the Georgia Bulldogs this weekend. That line opened up at 3.5. Do you know where it still sits here on a Tuesday morning? 3.5 and a low total of 45.5. A lot of respect here, looks like, for Auburn at home at Jordan-Hare. Can Georgia go in there with Kirby Smart and play well? And also, what's up with that low total? We're not used to these low totals. What's going with you? Is this the old SEC back in the early 2000s?
Well, I mean, what does Cam Ward say? Jackson Arnold is, yes, that's exactly what he is. And so is this offense. And as many athletes as they may have on there, they are not. He can't throw the ball down the field, and that's the problem. So Georgia's defense, although not one of the better ones that Kirby Smart has had over the last couple of seasons, they are still more than capable of limiting Jackson Arnold and this offense here. They run the ball well, but I don't know that you're going to run it all that well on this Georgia defense. It comes down to me as to which offense do you think, Donnie, can make enough big plays. Gunnar Stockton, to me, has shown that he can make some big plays here. I'm not a believer in Jackson Arnold. I think Georgia can get this game done. I would not be shocked if more Georgia money starts hitting the books here as we get closer to kickoff.
I'd rather have Jackson Arnold than Arch Manning at this point right now with all the disappointments for the Texas Longhorns. They're going to take on their rival Oklahoma in the Red River Rivalry at the Cotton Bowl. And Texas, after losing to Florida last week, still a favorite in this game. The look-ahead number was 3.5. That's dropped to 2.5 at just about every outlet. And another really low total of 42.5. Is this the last stand for Arch Manning and being a starter with Texas? Goodness.
I don't think so. I mean, we got to remember the guy, the expectations that were put on a kid who had only had a couple of games. It's like, come on, settle down. I mean, the guy still got 3 years eligibility left here. All right. And by the way, it's not like it's not all of this has been his fault here for this team. Having said that, this is one of the greatest rivalries in all of college sports right now. But I got to know, what is John Mateer's status? Is Oklahoma starting a backup quarterback, or is Oklahoma going in with Mateer, who's already had the surgery, right, on the thumb? Seems to be good to go here. What is he playing? Is he not playing? I would wait to find that out before I did anything in this game, because if he is playing, this line is changing.
Oh, no. How unfair, Joe Ranieri. Michigan's going to have to get on a plane and travel to California. There's no way we can win. How do you expect Big Ten teams to travel hundreds, if not thousands of miles and try to be able to win a football game on the road? Michigan takes on USC, and the favorite here are the USC Trojans at -2.5 at just about every outlet. And a total, thank goodness, 57.5. You love to see that. Can the young, talented quarterback of the 15th-ranked Michigan Wolverines handle their business? Or is this SC as a favorite? And yes, they should be a favorite here.
Not all that impressed with Michigan at this point here, but this is exactly the kind of game and situation that, listen, USC offensively is going to put up points. I mean, a ton of points here. This offense is one of the best in the country. I still think, as talented as that young quarterback of Michigan is, it's still a work in progress. I don't know that Michigan is built on it to get into a shootout here with USC, with Lincoln Riley. I would be willing to bet they don't, and I'd be willing to bet that USC wins this game here.